the general NDC voters on this matter.
Top story is brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. When we return from the break, we interrogate the issue, speak to the NDC, the NPP, and an analyst. Don't go anywhere.
If I become a millionaire, I will put a huge billboard right next to my ex's house saying, look at me now, I hate it.
As for me, I'm quitting my job in style. Me too, I hate it.
Telecel is making millionaires this season. Not one, not two, but 3 millionaires. Each month, one lucky Telecel customer wins 1 million Ghana cedis for the next 3 months in the Telecel Mahetse promo. Plus, you still get to win 20,000 Ghana cedis weekly, 100 Ghana cedis daily, bundle 10 Ghana cedis, airtime or data. Top up your Telecel cash wallet or your fixed broadband to stand a chance of winning. Visit the Telecel Play app or dial star 500 hash to opt in for free into the Telecel Mahetse promo.
Telecel, connecting energies.
This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining in my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Till I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, I sleep. With holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Mula Sports. See the odd sharp, no long thing. MulaSports.com.gh. Instant win, instant cash out. MulaSports.com.gh. Mula Sports, we dey run the city. Play, win, cash out. Yes, play and stand a chance to win Mula at MulaSports.com.gh. Enjoy premium soccer action, exciting trips on the aviator plane, and exciting spins on all your favorite virtual games. Mula Sports. More Mula. Bet responsibly. Gambling can be addictive. Not for persons under 18. This advertisement is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Palladium Residences in Achimota isn't just an address, it's the home you've truly earned. Secure your place with just a 10% deposit and choose from beautifully designed modern apartments or spacious townhouses built for everyday comfort. This is more than a building. It's a vibrant curated community with a clubhouse, state-of-the-art gym and an on-site hotel, all at ABC Junction, minutes from Achimota Mall. Enjoy city energy whilst retreating to your private sanctuary. Call now to reserve your unit and benefit from limited launch incentives, including priority unit selection. Don't miss the chance to pick the best homes. Book your private site visit today. Call 050-9823-424. Palladium Residences. Live smart, invest better.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's Back to School promotion is here with us once again. From the 1st of August to the 30th of September this year, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is offering a generous 15% discount on all school items, including textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and more, across all branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stock lasts. For more information, call us on 0302 764 101 or 0302 764 209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can visit our website www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Or falling in love. It's gonna happen. It's supposed to happen. Every
This is Top Story. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi. Tonight we begin with allegations of a third-term agenda. There are claims that some hawks around President John Mahama are pushing for him to contest again in 2028, with concerns that it could split the NDC, leading to an implosion, while 3 petitions are already before the Supreme Court asking the court to interpret Article 662, the clause that limits a president to 2 terms. Critics say this is not new. They argue it follows a template we've seen play out in other African countries. Test the constitution in court, then run again. Well, the government, however, denies any such plan. Law lecturer with the University of Ghana, Professor Appiah says certain government actions are already raising red flags about a possible third-term bid. Listen to him.
Trend. The president will initially say, I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And the polls also support that. But when the soft approach is not possible, the hard approach is applied where there is suppression of civil society activism, suppression by academics against the third-termism, and then people go on demonstrations, some are, bulldozed to the ground and killed and so on, where the president will force his way. So right now we see a situation where the 65%, which is a huge majority, saying that we don't like a presidential term. But we need to look at other factors, other issues. For example, and in any way, I'm not saying in any way that I'm concluding John Mahama wants to go for a third term. But look at the regional tribunal system. It can aid that particular third term agenda. Look at how the Chief Justice was removed from office. It can support that third term agenda. The number of Supreme Court justices that we are seeing addition to them at the Supreme Court, it's another sign. And I'm looking at this all from the experiences of other countries where third termism starts slowly, but it begins to snowball. And then if there's a possibility of going by the soft approach through legal means which are still compromised and done and manipulated, the third term comes into place.
Appiah is a professor of law at the University of Ghana. But inside the NDC itself, there's division. Member of the party's legal team, Victor Adawudu, says some elements around the president are aggressively pushing for him to run another term.
It's a congregation of vested interest in the party. We have the hawks, we have the doves. It has been an issue that people think that, yes, with the good works that the government is doing, why not? If there's an opportunity, it must continue. And President Mahama should be given the opportunity to continue. That's what the people also wish. Others think that, no, there must be the term. As the Constitution has said, it must be respected. So this has been debated.
One side will win, right, on this matter within the party?
No. But as the law says, as it is now, right, I don't think that it will be feasible that you want to go for third term. But if the Supreme Court speaks, admits it, and says that this is the interpretation they are putting on it, and it opens the door, right? Why not?
The president will run again.
Yeah, I'm sure if it is. But the way I see the president is not in the mood for politicking now. What he wants to leave a legacy.
Okay.
And the president, all he's doing, that is why you see the trajectory of things he's doing in his government.
Victor Adawudu is a member of the NDC's legal team. We've also been hearing from the MPP and MP for Menchia South, Nana Bafwe, who says the caliber of lawyers behind the petition seeking interpretation of the relevant article on the presidential term limit shows how serious the matter is and must not be ignored.
When you put all these facts together, as much as we have a trend where presidents have faced such questions and they have had to come out to deny historically, we are seeing something else this time. This is the first time that presidents have not only been forced to come out, but we are also seeing a situation where an attempt is being made, and in some of them, very serious attempts being made, right, to seek interpretation at the Supreme Court.
That's MPP MP for Menchia South, Nana Bafwe, governance expert. Professor Bafwe is calling on the Supreme Court to hear the case quickly and settle the debate once and for all.
This won't be the first time. Many African countries have gone through this process before, and we all know how it starts. But again, I am curious why, after 3 or 4 or 5 statements by the president rejecting the idea that he's not going to go, people still go forward. Secondly, I'm also curious that those NDC stalwarts who were seeking to be contestants, for some weeks now, we don't hear anything again.
We've also been hearing from the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa, who says he's confident the president will not seek a third term, as such a decision could implode the NDC.
In every presidency, either Ghana or anywhere in the world, there are people who are close to power who would like to maintain power with the current leadership. They fear maybe new leadership may not probably give them what they've been enjoying currently. So there will be people who will be pushing all sorts of things. But it's also a good leader who says, look, you could be pushing me towards this, but I won't take it.
That is Musa Dankwa. He's the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. And joining me in the studio right now is Joy News Research and Data Analyst Jason Day. For more, Jason, we know several African countries have seen presidents extend their time in office. Let us understand how often this has happened and what happened when other African presidents sought additional terms.
So, Ken, we've seen that this kind of thing has happened about 15 times. That is in 15 different countries. We've seen that, and I want to narrow it down to 4 or 3 countries where in Rwanda, the current president, Paul Kagame, initially avoided committing to a third term, saying he would respond to the wishes of the people. And then the 2015 referendum amended the constitution, allowing the president to seek a third term and potentially remain in office beyond the previous 2-term limit. It extended it. It actually created a 7-year term for the president. Also, just beside us here in Ivory Coast, the current president, Alassane Ouattara, initially indicated he would leave office in 2020, but later argued that the new constitution gave him a fresh term count. The 2016 constitution was interpreted when it went to the Apex Court, resetting the presidential term count, allowing the president to contest the 2020 election. And then in Burundi, we see that the current president, Pierre Nkurunziza, argued that his first term did not count because Parliament, not voters, elected him into that term. So the Constitutional Court heard the matter and accepted the argument, allowing him to contest a controversial third term in 2015.
Jason Day, thank you very much. Henry Nana Boakye is the national organizer of the opposition NPP. Yunusa Hussaini is a former member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament. He's also a former MP for Tamale Central. A gentleman, grateful for your time this evening. Mr. Hussaini, let me begin with you. We've already heard that there are some caucuses within the NDC party that want President John Mahama to go for another term. I'm curious, are you one of those that are in support of another term for President Mahama?
Thank you for having me. First of all, the NDC is a Congress. So we have many people of different and varying opinions in the party. Our role as a party is to synthesize these various divergent views into a party's position and pursue that position. The party intends to respect the constitutional arrangement that says 10-term limits for presidents while in office. So for the party, term limits must apply. And the president is elected for a certain term of office. Now, the Constitution itself is the document guiding disposition of the party, which provides for term limits. The difficulty we have now is that the president, in our experience as a country, in this fourth republic, has been presidents exhausting their term limits within 2 terms. That is, the Constitution allows for 2 terms. The presidents that we have had in the past have served these 2 terms consecutively, 1 term following the other. That is what is leading the debate to suggest that the Constitution limiting a president to 2 terms means 2 consecutive terms. We have all read the provision. Just recently, the president also said he had read the position and has read it several times. Article 66 says what it means, 2 terms. So the president is quite clear on that, very clear on that. The issue presently before the court is the interpretation. Some people think the provision in the Constitution is not clear enough. The president thinks it's clear enough. I also think it's clear enough. But some people do think that it's not clear. And so they've gone to the Supreme Court to seek an interpretation, whether to read into the provision. We can't take that right from them. We can't take that right from them. But the Constitution has provided for 2 term limits. The party, NDC as a party, supports the constitutional position, 2 term limits. The president, John Dramani Mahama, supports the constitutional position, 2 term limits. The question that is being sought in court is whether the 2 term limits should be 2 term limits simpliciter or 2 term limits consecutively. They are entitled to that. They are entitled to that. So we have to wait for the Supreme Court to pronounce on this very important matter. I see those who are saying 2 term limits consecutively are reading into the Constitution. But whether what they are reading into the Constitution can be justified and upheld by the Supreme Court is another matter. We all agree to a 2 term limit.
Okay. What about elements within your party who beg to differ with the explanation you've given? They are lobbying for President John Mahama to go for another term. What will be your message for them? Any message for them?
That is the message that ours is a Congress.
Right.
Those saying that 2 term limits must be read at 2 consecutive terms probably support the suit at the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation. The president is not behind it. The president has said publicly that he's read the Constitution and understood what the Constitution says.
Idris Afuseni, don't go yet. Let me bring in Henry Nanabuache. He's the national organizer of the opposition NPP. Henry, grateful for your time this evening. What do you make of the aggressive bidding, according to the NDC's own legal team member, Victor Adawudu, who is saying that there's some elements within the party who are pushing aggressively for President John Mahama to seek another term? Henry, do I have you with me? Kindly unmute your microphone, Henry, so we can hear you.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Clear.
Okay. So, I am even surprised why we have this debate so popular at this time. There is a sinister motive, and I will expose it today. Now, Article 66 is so clear. In fact, any application before the Supreme Court for a certain twisted, a certain unwholesome, a certain unhealthy interpretation on Article 66 is sponsored. Do not be deceived. Article 66 says a person elected as president shall, subject to clause 3 of this article, hold office for a term of 4 years, beginning from the date on which he is sworn as president. Then the clause 2 says, a person shall not be elected to hold office as president of Ghana for more than 2 terms. So the term is already defined for you in clause 1. Now clause 2 says that you cannot hold it for more than 2 times. This argument of continuous terms, consecutive terms, for me is weird. And it's an absurdity. Why? Because it means that you can be sworn in as president for the first 4 years and then decide not to contest again. Then you can come again after someone else is sworn in as president and the person is exiting, then you come in again. When you become president, then you decide that you will not go again for another term. So meaning, if this argument, this weird argument, this strange argument, should find any strength before the judges at the Supreme Court, what that means is that a single person can go for 20 years, 4 terms each, times 4, and even more. Insofar as the person will go for 4 years, decide not to go for the next term, then it's declared that since your term is not continuous, your term is not consecutive, so you can come in again the following time. So that when you begin the next 4 years, that is deemed be a fresh start from you. Then you decide not to go again. You stay home. Then after someone else takes over 4 years, you come back again. What strange interpretation is this? Look, and the posturing of President Mahama is very deceptive. President Mahama is trying to say, oh, as for me, I think 2 terms. I do not intend to seek, but whoever is going to Supreme Court, as for that, I do not control Supreme Court. So whatever interpretation they will put on that, I don't care. So that immediately Supreme Court, that is why I'm saying that I will be very sad and Ghana will be thrown into a state of turmoil if any strange interpretation is put on this article.
Henry, don't go yet. I still have Yunusa Hussaini with me. Yunusa, so Henry makes an interesting argument, and he's not alone, that these persons who have gone to the court to seek for interpretation are being sponsored by government. It's a deliberate attempt to test the waters to see how the response is going to be, and government is on another hand pretending like it's not aware of anything like that. Are these persons who are going to court to seek interpretation being sponsored by government, as is being alleged by the opposition MPP and a cross-section of the public?
This matter.
Hello, Yunusa, do I have you?
So, Herin Nanabwachi, to give our party some credit. When Rawlings handed over power to President J.A. Kufuor, and President J.A. Kufuor served his 2 terms, there was general clamor within the NDC that the Constitution be read to mean 2 consecutive terms, and that Rawlings should be able to come back. The party resisted that. In our party, we don't believe in shenanigans. We don't set our own questions and answer them. We don't do that in NDC. That's why we are prepared as a party to abide by the decisions of the Supreme Court. We are not MPP. We are not MPP. We are NDC. It is only in MPP that a Supreme Court can pronounce that the the action of a president is unconstitutional. It has never happened in NDC. So Nana Poitier should give us credit and stop setting his own questions and answering them. As a lawyer, you should know that the Supreme Court is populated by people who have the intelligence to decide what the Constitution says. And that's what, as a people, that's the democratic decision, consensus that we have arrived at. That when a person says that a matter, requires interpretation, no one should close the door to that person. That's democracy. But we trust that the Supreme Court will interpret the provisions of the Constitution, if it is to be interpreted in a way that will secure the democratic principles that we have sworn and undertaken to live by.
You said that you're going to respect the outcome of that Supreme Court ruling, which is yet to happen. Should it rule that, yes, the president can go for a third term, will the NDC support that?
That would be an assumption that I'm not prepared to take now. I can't assume that the Supreme Court will rule. I talk about facts, and I believe that the Supreme Court, if it is a matter of interpretation, will interpret the provision in a way as to sustain our democracy. If it is not a decision bordering on interpretation, the Supreme Court will say so. I believe that. Because as a lawyer, the Supreme Court cannot and is not a rubber stamp. And that's why when the Supreme Court begins behaving in a way that suggests that they are practicing convenience jurisprudence, we get worried. The NDC is not a lawless party. The NDC will abide by the outcome of a decision. John Dramani Mahama has invested a lot in this, our democracy, if you don't know that. A lot. All his youth has been taken up by our democracy. And I know and trust and believe that John Dramani Mahama will work to sustain our democracy. So let no one impute ill motives to John Dramani Mahama.
Right. Henry, is it that the MPP is having ill motives against President John Mahama is being purported by Idrissa Husseini? That's why you are accusing him of attempting to run for a third term?
Pardon?
That question was directed at Henry. Do I have Henry Nanabuachi on the line?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, Henry. Do I have
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. Did you hear my question, please?
Good. Yes.
Okay.
You see, we have had some strings of activities, coming up. Number one, let me tell you, this tribunal thing they intend to even introduce, it is not for nothing. Number one. Number two, is it not surprising that a former presidential candidate, President John Dramani Mahama, who criticized the numbers we have at the Supreme Court, and even at the time, put in a strong advocacy for us to have a cap, 15. Now, all of a sudden, President Mahama now has developed some appetite, strong appetite for packing the Supreme Court. Strong appetite for packing the Supreme Court. Just recently we heard that he's appointed about 3. Do not be surprised that why should they, out of a certain desire, negative desire to oust the former Chief Justice. All of these things, I'm telling you, it is part of the grand scheme. This tribunal, they intend to squeeze people They intend to intimidate people. They intend. Are you not surprised how President Mahama under him is so pretending over the wanton suppression of free speech?
Henry, you said you said it's part of the grand scheme to do what?
It is all part of the grand scheme to silence people so that when we are able to secure certain pronouncement from the Supreme Court that yes, indeed, President Mahama can go for a third term, and that the provision in the Constitution should be read mean that it should be continuous. It is so clear. So all of these activities, trust me, it is not in isolation. It is part of the grand scheme. It is part of the grand scheme. I'm telling you, President Mahama is interested in a third term. What he is saying is a lie. It's a deception. He is just trying to assume a certain posturing that, hey, I am not interested, but well, you see, when you asked my senior, Honorable Yunus Hussaini, that is he going to be excited by a pronouncement from the Supreme Court that yes, President Mahama can go for a third term? He quickly ran away from it. He could not answer. He just said that he would not be thrown into any position of assumption. And that is what the NDC, the elements, there are some elements who are pushing for this. And trust me, in the coming days, they are going to hire some religious leaders to be speaking for these matters. They are going to hire some high-profile journalists, some opinion leaders, to be advancing the same argument.
Henry, don't go yet. I'll come back to you shortly. And let me also mention that we also have Dr. John Osai Kwapon, who is the Democracy and Development Fellow at CDD Ghana. I'll come back to you all once again, gentlemen. But in the meantime, though, it's time for News Night. Let's bring you the headlines. Gemma is standing by. Gemma?
So tonight, too many judges, too little access. Togbe Afede, the 14th, is questioning the open-ended expansion of the Supreme Court, warning it could be used for politics. He also warned that justice is becoming too expensive for ordinary Ghanaians. We'll hear from him shortly. Also, gunshots and anger in Wild West as police opened fire on protesters, injuring 3 after the youth demanded answers over the death of their leader in custody just 2 days after his arrest.
We thought the police have tortured him, they have brutalized him because he was arrested healthy and then reported dead in police custody. So we demand some justice in the gathering. They shot 3 people and they are now receiving treatment.
He also tonight in Parliament, it's same fight again as minority accuses the finance minister of starving the economy to make the books look good.
As at half year, they have under-executed the budget. The reason for which many of you don't have projects going on in your constituency.
An MP from Etiwa East, where we have the Osino Enyinem Konongo bypass. You not spending on capital expenditure means I am not getting the roads completed.
We have details as the majority pushes back, laying out what they say is the finance minister's prudent spending.
Atuforce in 2025 spent 94.4%. On what grounds are you saying he's not spending?
In business,
IMF upgrades Ghana's debt risk rating to moderate in latest sustainability report.
And later in sports.
Well, in the next 10 minutes, Ghana's Benjamin Azamati and Abdul Rashid Saminu I place in Commonwealth Games 100-meter final.
And on your say. We'll tell you why a group of church instrumentalists seeking prayers for overseas travel found themselves playing a very different tune with your head pastor. Remember, you can be a part of the conversation and share your thoughts on all our stories on X with the hashtag Newsnight, or by text or voice notes via WhatsApp number 055 1111 997. Do keep them brief, straight to the point, and within 20 seconds.
These and more coming up shortly, but let's return to our interview second.
Well, thank you very much, Gemma. And I still have Henry Nana Boakye, who is the national organizer of the opposition NPP. Inusaf Hussaini is a former member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament. Dr. John Osai Kwapon is also joining the conversation. He's a Democracy and Development Fellow with CDD Ghana. Gentlemen, welcome once again. I want to play something to the two politicians, and I'll come and pick your thoughts. And then also, I'll bring in Dr. John Osai Kwapon in this. We've been hearing from the Deputy General Secretary of the governing NDC, Mustapha Gbande, who has dismissed the president's claim that he does not believe he can run a third term. Mustapha Gbande says only the party can decide whether he should or should not run for a third term. Listen to him.
He doesn't qualify for a third term. The Constitution says that.
How did you know he doesn't qualify?
And he himself has said it.
Where?
That, look, there are people jostling for me.
Where did he say it?
Oh, he said it on several forums.
Where?
That there are people jostling for me. I'm not interested in running for a third term. He said it. We can play. We can find videos.
But the president doesn't speak to the party outside the party boardroom. So we are party executives. If the president wants to tell us, announce his intention to us, he will go to South Korea and go and say it there, and then we take it.
So are you saying what the president
didn't make him? The president didn't make himself. The party made him. He's the leader of the party.
So the party is not going to allow him to say he can't.
With that conversation, I've indicated many times that is not a conversation for anybody. It's a conversation for a certain class of individuals.
It's a conversation for the person who's supposed to be contesting.
No, he's not. President Mahama doesn't. We control him. He's our leader. He's the leader of the party. What the party says, plus what he thinks, is what takes place. You think he should not be tired? He's tired. But we are not there yet. The man is just 2 years in power.
On the face of it, right now, there are people in the NDC who are jostling.
They are not jostling. We are stopping everybody.
That is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Gbande there. I still have Henry Nana Boakye. He's the national organizer of the opposition NPP. Henry, what do you make of the assertion by Mustapha Gbande?
I mean, what he said is most unfortunate, and I'm telling you, it is feeding into this whole agenda. I mean, how can you say that you control the president, the whole president? And this is very constitutional. And you are saying that you control the president, so when you tell the president that the president should go for a third term, the president must oblige. I mean, this is quite strange. And I'm telling you that all of this is part of the grand scheme. And the president should not pretend that he is not aware of this. He is actually the brain behind it. Let me tell you. Maybe some people will be afraid to say it. Some people would want to just go around the issue. But the president is aware of this. They have gone for a meeting. All that you see is a certain architecture being put to play. They have orchestrated this. So nobody should be deceived. I'm telling you that I'm even surprised that Honorable Hussein even mentioned that even former President Rawlings, who was a military leader, did not, go this tangent. I don't know why this unwholesome haste to continue with power. What is happening to our president? I'm telling you, he's aware of it. You should not be deceived. I'm telling you.
Let me bring in Inusaf Hussaini. Mr. Hussaini, is it worrying what you just heard from Mustapha Gbande? Are you worried about it?
Well, let me state categorically that Nana Boakye is relying on his own idiosyncrasies to validate his argument that the president in the third term. So he continues telling us, I'm telling you, that's his own idiosyncrasies. What Mustapha Gbande has said must be seen in the context of a larger democracy. No presidential candidate imposes himself on a party. That's what you must understand. It is the party, through its machinery, that determines who leads the party. That's what Mr. Pabandi is telling you. So even if the Constitution reads that he can go for a third term, assuming but not admitting that that's what the Supreme Court will say, it will be the party that will determine whether John Dramani Mahama take advantage of the ruling in the absence of a consequential ruling from the Supreme Court. That is democracy. It is the party that determines who leads it. That's what everybody is telling you. Because the party will have to organize a delegates congress to elect the flag bearer, and the party can decide to elect a different person other than the sitting president. Have you forgotten?
Hello, Nusa, do I have you?
And game not taken for granted.
Okay.
That a sitting president cannot be contested.
Right. Don't go yet. I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Dr. John Osai Kwapo, and he's a Democracy and Development Fellow at CDD Ghana. Dr. Kwapo, welcome to the program. What do you make of this whole conversation around a likelihood that President John Mahama may seek a third term?
Well, good evening to you. I have said over and over again, I've made it very clear my position on the matter, which is that I don't believe it is a step in the right direction. I was comforted months ago. I can't remember the forum in which it was, where the president categorically said that, look, I am going to serve my one term, and that's it. So I thought that the growing chatter about a third term had been finally put to rest until the Supreme Court case that two citizens, I think either 2 or 3 citizens, have filed a case before the court. What I also find intriguing, and I don't begrudge any citizen who feels that if there is a certain constitutional provision that lacks clarity in its interpretation, and therefore they want to run to the Supreme Court to get that, they want that. That's their right. But what I am used to and accustomed to is that before you go to the Supreme Court for an interpretation, there should be an action, a conduct that has been taken that is offensive to the Constitution, and therefore you're calling on the court to say, is this action or inaction in line with the Constitution, or does it offend the Constitution? So I would have thought that the proper route, if we truly need an interpretation of 66.2, would have been President John Mahama himself. Let's say the NDC opens his nominating contest for the 2028 flag bearership race, and he decides to throw his hat in. And somebody says, wait a minute, you've already served 2 terms. Let's say those who are arguing that what does 2 terms really mean, also take it on, etc., etc. That for me is the sequence of events that I would have felt it the proper way to seek the court's interpretation, and not to preemptively ask the court to determine a question whose conduct or whose action is yet to happen or may never happen.
But Dr. Kwapon, others will argue that your scenario could be a little bit too late, wouldn't it?
Well, but that for me, like I said, so that's why I said for me that would be the sequence of actions that I would have expected to go on. But having said all of that, and with the greatest opinion to those who also believe that this is a matter that still needs interpretation, I am not sure which other way the framers of our Constitution could have made it clear that 2 terms means 2 terms. Whether you serve 1 term 10 years before and come back to serve another term 10 years later, or whether you serve it back to back. For me, I don't see where some want to argue that there is still a lack of clarity in terms of what 2 terms mean. Yes, it has just so happened that our first two or three presidents, or let's say our first two presidents of the Fourth Republic, got to serve their 2 terms back to back, right? So Rawlings, Kufuor, President Nana Akufo-Addo got to serve their 2 terms back to back. President Mills unfortunately served 1 term, passed before his term could end. President John Mahama served 1 term, lost, and had to come back to serve his 2nd term. But when you put it all together, and yes, I was not there when the framers of the Constitution were deliberating on this particular provision, but I am still hard-pressed to understand what else 2 terms can mean, right? That it's I am just lost in all of this debate. The other thing I would add quickly too is that, you see, this idea of a 3rd term, right? I call it constitutional fidgeting, right? That we've seen that with some of our neighbors, right? And for me, it never quote unquote ends very well. Yes, those who have been successful in being able to extend their terms in office are still in office, but for the health of the democracy, for the fact that we've been able to go through this exercise for 30-something years and have agreed that 2 terms is 2 terms, I just don't know why this conversation won't go away.
Dr. John Osai Kwapon, thank you very much. He is a Democracy and Development Fellow with CDD Ghana. And the politicians who joined earlier were Henry Nana Boache. He's the national organizer of the opposition NPP. We also heard from Inus Afuseni, who's a former member of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament and also a former MP for Tamale Central. Gemma, what else do we have?
Let's stay a bit longer on this. And tonight, Togbe Afede the 14th is raising 2 red flags about our justice system. The president of the Asogli Traditional Area and former president of the National House of Chiefs says the Supreme Court is expanding without a constitutional limit, and that opens the door for political manipulation. Speaking at the climax of the court's 150th anniversary in Accra, Togbe Afede argued that Ghana needs clear checks on how many judges can be appointed to the apex court.
As a nation, we all have to support in making the judiciary and for the Supreme Court independent and strong. One way to do it is to look or take a second look at the way we appoint our justices. From the beginning, they are made to be impartial. And also, the absence of an upper limit to a number or the total number of Supreme Court judges that allows adding, and adding, satisfy political objectives.
He also warned that justice is becoming too expensive, locking ordinary Ghanaians out of the courts.
In looking at our future, we have to admit that there are still a lot of financial barriers to justice delivery. Justice is not a service freely available to all. It is a lucrative business in the hands of a lucrative profession. This is a statement often attributed to Justice Hargreaves. But that is true. The legal profession is a very profit-oriented profession, and not all can afford the legal services.
My colleague Fatal Bayaga was at the event and now joins me in studio with more. Fatal, the Vice President, Professor Jainano Pokwajaman, was also at the event. What did she say?
Gemma, she said the government is carefully considering the recommendations of the Constitution Review Committee and will issue a white paper to demonstrate its openness and commitment to the nation. In fact, she doesn't tell us exactly when this will be done, but she said that the government will definitely issue a white paper.
I'm pleased to state that government is carefully considering the committee's recommendations, and in keeping with our commitment to openness and constitutional governance, will issue a position paper setting out government's considered position. We approach that process in a spirit of partnership
Also, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayene, spoke about the relationship between the AG's office and the judiciary. Tell us more.
Gemma, she said that there's the need for a continuous and seamless relationship between the judiciary and his office to ensure the efficient delivery of justice.
The relationship between the Attorney General's department and the judiciary is and must always be a fraternal one. Not because we always agree, for we do not and should not, but because we are bound by a common inheritance, that is the adherence to the rule of law and fidelity to the Constitution of our Republic. Where we of the Attorney General's chambers appear before your lordships, we appear not as adversaries seeking victory.
Before you go, the Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni touched on efforts to modernize justice delivery. What exactly do they intend to do?
Gemma, he disclosed that technology remains an important part of modern society and announced that beginning in October, the court will accept electronic filing and introduce other measures aimed at expediting justice delivery. So basically, he said that you will now, sit at the comfort of your home and then you file your motions or application and not have to travel to the court. You can listen to him.
The judiciary formally ushers in a new era through the implementation of electronic filing, electronic authentication, and electronic service of court processes as the new norm for the administration of justice in Ghana, starting from 1st October this year. Again, beginning in October, when the legal year starts, we commence automation of the courts across the country, starting with the Supreme Court, to be followed by the Court of Appeal and the High Courts.
So you had Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni ending that report by my colleague Fatau Bayaga. Moving on, chaos in Wichao in the West District today after police fired and injured at least 3 individuals in a bid to disperse mourners and angry youth protesting the death of a local youth leader who died in police custody just 2 days after his arrest. Residents suspect Abu Tijani died from injuries he allegedly sustained during his arrest. But in a statement, the police say Tijani was a key suspect in the murder of 2 youths in November last year. They say he had previously escaped arrest, was rearrested on Saturday, during which 2 officers were injured and later fell ill while assisting investigators before dying at a hospital. My colleague Michael Ashali joins me in studio with details of the statement by the police. Michael, first, who exactly was Abu Tijani and why were the police looking for him?
So, according to a police statement, Abu Tijani, also known as Master One, was a key suspect in the murder and disappearance of 2 youth in Kandi on November 23, 2025. They say he had been on their wanted list after escaping arrest on May 11, 2026, and had gone into hiding despite a request through the paramount chief of Wichao for him to report to assist with investigations. Police say he was rearrested on Saturday, July 25, during which he allegedly struggled with officers and injured 2 policemen before being overpowered.
Now, the statement also talks about the missing bodies. What did the investigators say Tijani told them?
So, according to that statement, police say during interrogation, Tijani admitted his involvement in the case and disclosed that the 2 victims were first buried at a location in Wichao. He allegedly told investigators the bodies were later exhumed and secretly reburied across the Black Volta River in Burkina Faso to avoid detection. Police say he even led investigators to the original burial site, but after digging, they found no human remains because, according to him, the bodies had already been moved.
Now, what explanation have the police been giving about how Abu Tijani died?
Well, the police say after returning to work, Tijani was helping investigators locate one of the alleged accomplices when he suddenly complained of a severe headache while in the police vehicle. The say officers immediately abandoned the operation and rushed him to the SDA hospital in Wa, where he was admitted at about 1 p.m. Despite treatment, he was pronounced dead at 4:37 p.m. And police say his body has been deposited at the Upper West Regional Hospital morgue for preservation and an autopsy, while the Police Professional Standards Bureau has begun investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death.
So now there were disturbances in Wichao earlier today with reports of police firing at aggrieved residents. Does the police statement address that incident as well?
Well, in this particular statement, no, it does not. The statement is silent on the reported confrontation in Wichao today. It makes no mention of officers visiting the community or the reported shooting involving mourners and angry youth. Instead, it focuses on the circumstances surrounding Tijani's arrest, the murder investigation, his death in the hospital, and efforts to rebrief the paramount chief through a delegation. In the last couple of minutes, we have been hearing from the Ghana Police Service.
Well, the Upper West Regional Police Commander DCOP Francis Yiribari in an interview explained that the police did no wrong. He says Abu Tijani was sent to the hospital immediately he complained of headache. We can listen to him now.
As we returned with him to WA for further investigations, he opted to lead us further to one of his accomplices around the Nakori area in Wa Township. While on the way going, he complained of a headache, and that prompted the police team to halt, indeed abandon the mission of that operation, and to transport him immediately to the nearest health facility. That happened to be the SDA clinic. He was admitted, and unfortunately, after some hours, he passed, despite a lot of efforts by the medical authorities at that clinic. We have anticipated some disturbances in the place. We have conveyed this message to the paramount chief through a three-member delegation.
On the shooting in the community earlier today, DCOP Francis Yiribari says personnel from the police responded to calls from the community about a group of irate youth who had already set ablaze the house of someone in the community.
Unfortunately, some youth along the line decided to take the law into their own hands. They set ablaze a house perceived to be owned by one of the residents or natives of Wichao, having close association with the police. Police and the military also paved the way by roadblocks that were mounted by the youth. They bent tires, but all that we were able to control that, and the youth have since retreated. The police have visited some 2 young men that were reported to have been injured. We are open to any clarifications anybody will want. Investigations are already ongoing. We are to conduct, the hospital will conduct autopsy on the body, and the true cause of his death will be duly established.
Well, the secretary of the Wichao Paramount Chief, Abdullahi Ishahaku, is also calling for justice.
For some time now, the West District, let me say, the Wichao traditional area, there have been some few disturbances in 2 communities, the Kandel and the Tuolu. There was a misunderstanding where the Kandel now passed on, and some 2 guys were passing through the community, and allegedly they said they were murdered, and the police are still doing their investigation to follow that. And per the investigation, they are doing many arrests, like they will come and arrest someone, go and investigate, leave the person to come and all that. Just on the 25th of this month, that was the Saturday, they arrested one of the youth leaders.
Let's take you to other stories. The minority in Parliament is doubling down on its claim that Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen's tight control over government spending is largely responsible for the relative improvement in Ghana's economic indicators. The Finance Minister presented the mid-year budget review to Parliament last Thursday, with MPs now debating the government's performance and the measures outlined in the statement. But minority spokesperson on the Economy Committee, Kojo Nkrumah, is accusing government of prioritizing impressive fiscal numbers over the investments needed to drive real economic growth. He argues that while government may be succeeding in keeping expenditure under control and improving key indicators, the approach is coming at a cost to productive sectors of the economy.
In fact, what has happened for the first time is that this is the first time a finance minister has presented the mid-year review and has not been able to tell the country how much of the economic program has been executed and how much has not been executed. And I could hear some of my colleagues on the other side laboring under the argument that they want to prove that some spending is going on. Mr. Speaker, let me ask them to go to Appendix 2A. It's in the document that you have. And in Appendix 2A, you will find out, Mr. Speaker, that this government, this minister, made promises of projects, jobs, and programs to the tune of 30 billion Ghana cedis, which it has not executed as at half year. As at half year, they have under-executed the budget. The reason for which many of you don't have projects going on in your constituency. And it was baffling to hear the finance minister then go on Joy News to argue that he is not spending as much as he programmed to spend because the MPP signed up with the IMF on a 1.5% primary balance. That's laughable because that 1.5% primary balance is supposed to be achieved after you have executed your economic policy.
That's Kojo Nkrumah there. He's the ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee in Parliament. But we've also been hearing from a member of the Finance Committee and MP for Sanerigu, Appiah, who has rejected the minority's argument, insisting the available data does not support claims that government is simply sitting on resources or deliberately underspending.
I will preface my submission on debunking only one thing. The minority always keep referencing Atoforsen is not spending, Atoforsen is not spending, and Atoforsen is not generating revenue. Mr. Speaker, I have the fiscal performance of Ghana from 2017 to 2026. Let's look at revenue. Mr. Speaker, 2017, I'll grant MPP that their best years were 2017, 2018, and 2019. Because after that, anything you tell them, they will say it's COVID. So let's narrow it down to their best performance. Mr. Speaker, in 2017, they budgeted to raise 44.96 billion. They ended up by getting 41.25 billion, making a net unrealized revenue of 3.71 billion. In 2018, they budgeted to raise 49.40 billion. They ended up by getting 46.81 billion, losing about 2.59 billion. In 2019, they budgeted to raise 58.91 billion. They only had 54.56 billion, making a loss of 4.34 billion. These are your best results in your best years. But Mr. Speaker, the same finance minister they say he's not spending, in 2025, he budgeted to raise 229.95 billion. He had 226.49 billion.
Well, the former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Abnao Sayasari, also returned to the issue of government spending, and this were her arguments.
And for me, an MP from Etiwa East, where we have the Osino Enyinem Konongo bypass, you not spending on capital expenditure means I am not getting the roads completed. And that is a sad story. So if government comes to say that I am living within my means, but is not spending in the right places, Mr. Speaker, economic activity is not flourishing, and it will not help develop the economy. We are stifling growth by not spending in the right places. Mr. Speaker, again, what I hear the minister talk about is the fact that, yes, they have given money to the assemblies, but have you checked the Auditor General's reports? That all the 3 billion, the minister increased allocations to the district assemblies to the tune of 3 billion. But have you checked the infractions? That has also escalated. So you don't just give the monies, but you also strengthen internal controls. Go and check, Mr. Speaker, the infractions increased from 18 million to 134 million in 2025. So that is what we should check. Spend in the right places and make sure the internal controls are strong.
That's our former Deputy Finance Minister Abnose Asare there. Let's still stay in the House of Legislature and speak to our resident correspondent, Kweku Asante, who was there and witnessed proceedings. Kweku, we also had a response from the majority concerning what Abnose Asare said. What did they say?
Well, the big part of the majority's argument is that the Ghanaian people are receiving this economy well, and that as far as they are concerned, a good exchange rate and all the indicators, inflation looking in the right direction is something that the Ghanaian people are very proud of. So MP for Evaluate Jura Jomoro, Kofi Akonukui says that is what is important to Ghanaians, and they see the impact of the work that Dr. Kasilato Forsen and the president are doing on the economy, and the minority's claims are simply baseless.
Mr. Speaker, even before the finance minister came here, some of us took the trouble to go into the market, to go visit the market to find out the realities. And Mr. Speaker, I can report to you that, Mr. Speaker, a bag of Gino rice that used to sell at 850 Ghana cedis in 2024, Mr. Speaker, is now 550 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, a bag of Cindy rice, a 50 kg of Cindy rice that used to sell in 2024 for 1,500 Ghana cedis, as at now, Mr. Speaker, is selling for 650 Ghana cedis. And Mr. Speaker, sugar, a 50 kg bag of sugar that used to sell at 870 Ghana cedis, Mr. Speaker, in Axi, my hometown, Mr. Speaker, is selling at 470 cedis. So some of us, Mr. Speaker, we're not surprised at all.
You're still listening to News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra and our numerous affiliates across the country. Remember, you can also be a part of the show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. Share your thoughts with us with the stories we've been sharing with you so far. You can also send a voice note. Let it be as brief as possible, maximum 30 seconds. Let's do business. George is here with the latest. George?
Well, Kenneth, coming up, IMF upgrades Ghana's debt risk rating to moderate in latest sustainability report as it expects government of Ghana to finalize restructuring engagement with external creditors soon. And Bank of Ghana promises to enforce in the laws to help boost trust and integrity of financial technology platforms in the country. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials.
Your home could be anything you want it to be. It could be a stadium.
He's just 12 yards out. He shoots.
Oh,
yes.
Hey,
Yes.
what a strike!
It's a goal.
Or a gaming arena.
Yes, let's go.
Sometimes a classroom.
Madam, please, I don't understand.
All right, let's go over it again. Which part don't you understand?
The whole shop.
Or it could be an office.
How many orders are ready? Okay, send them to East Legon first.
Or even a research center.
Daddy, what is the Big Bang Theory?
Wait, let me ask ChatGPT.
You can make your home anything you want it to be, because no matter the experience you want at home, MTN Fiber will power it. Get unlimited internet up to 500 megabytes per second from as low as 299 Ghana cedis. Connect your home or business today. Visit the My MTN app or dial *5057# to check fiber availability and request now.
MTN.
We dey blast them. Who dey blast? We dey blast them. Who dey blast? We dey blast them. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth every day and night. After eating before bed, brush the germs away. The sugar jam, we go brush them. Fufu jam, we go brush them. Rice jam, we go brush them. We go.
When it comes to your teeth, Funnel World Cup. Brush them twice daily with Pepsodent, now in limited edition packs. This advert is FDA approved.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on. keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became #1. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Introducing Ghana's leading pay-as-you-copy photocopier leasing company. Lease an A4, A3, heavy-duty or production machine and pay for only the copies made or design your own payment plan. Simple and tietia. That's not all. Incredibly, toners, repairs, maintenance, follow-me printing, centralized tracking all come free of charge. Remember, financial prudence is the name of the game. Folks, forget about the expensive gimmicks and be smart. Join the hundreds of satisfied clients across all the 16 regions and every sector of the economy and save over 60% of your printing costs. Visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Be prudent and lease a copier. Terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease is a wholly owned Ghanaian company. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
You know that feeling. A hospital bill that arrives out of nowhere. A diagnosis you weren't prepared for. A system that seems designed to confuse you and costs that keep climbing. And the stress of not knowing if you are protected. Eden isn't lost. Eden Care was created to give it back to you. Eden Care is health insurance made for everyday family life. With Eden Care, getting health care is easy and you are backed by a trusted insurance partner with years of experience. No confusing terms, just complete protection for your entire family. Step back into peace. Step into experience you can rely on. Reach out right now at 059-692-1844 and choose Eden Care today. Eden Care is brought to you by Acacia Health Insurance, a member of the Enterprise Group.
The Global Conference on Human Resource in Africa returns August 12th to the 15th at the Kempiski Hotel, Accra. It's 4 days of converging HR professionals, business executives, policy makers, and industry leaders from over 15 countries on AI, leadership, workforce transformation, and the future of work. We will be joined by Honorable Rashid Papu, the Labour Minister, Michael D'Ambrose, Fortune 50 HR and Transformation Leader, Achal Khanna of SHRM India, Daniel Vargas of Microsoft, Sheamus Clancy of LinkedIn, Dr. Francis Aduku of CIHRM, Uzuaku Nwobi of PwC Nigeria, Martin Kirangu of Deal Local Payroll, and more. Expect keynotes, panels, innovation labs, masterclasses, and curated talks. Sponsors and exhibitors include SHRM, LinkedIn, MTN, PwC, Local Payroll, Atlas Copilot, CIFA, and more. Visit gchrafrica.com or call 055-408-1727. That is 055-408-1727.
Every mosquito start to run away.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Ghana has been moved from high risk of debt distress country to moderate. This was after the IMF staff finalized their assessment on the country's debt sustainability analysis. There is more in the following report.
To move Ghana to this status
was based on careful analysis of the country's debt status and the steps that the country has taken to honor its debt obligations. Critical among them is the progress that has been made when it comes to restructuring of the country's external debt, which the fund says it is nearing completion. So, for some, this could mean that Ghana is now in the position to pay its debt on time due to the corrective measures that has been implemented under the IMF program over the past 3 years. The development could immediately impact on Ghana's credit ratings with a possible upgrade in the coming months. It could also impact on cost of current loans that Government of Ghana is currently servicing. The benefits of this could trickle down to other public and private institutions in the country, especially when it comes to borrowing on the international market. The IMF believes that this progress in the debt numbers will create the needed space to borrow for critical projects and pressing development needs, especially in the area of social spending. But the International Monetary Fund was quick to add that these favorable forecasts will be dependent on improving domestic revenue collections, as well as improving public financial management and enhancing state-owned enterprise oversight, particularly in the energy and cocoa sectors.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, government has strongly defended its decision not to seek additional funding in the mid-year budget review. Now, this is despite push to raise more funds to help meet demand for road projects and addressing rising unemployment situation. But speaking at the PricewaterhouseCoopers webinar on the mid-year budget review, technical advisor to the Finance Minister, Dr. Tio Champon, says they are being strategic with their expenditure.
So come down a little bit, but importantly, given that you're now the fiscal anchor and the fiscal targets are rightly within the right ballpark range, it gives us a bit more room to spend a little bit more on capital expenditure in the second half, of the year. So as Minister indicated in the mid-year budget, we did not go seeking a supplementary budget funding. We only recalibrated and realigned certain line items. One of the important ones being putting or allocating 5 billion Ghana cedi to support, the GANRAC program and then what Gold Board is doing, and then also setting under disbursed, foreign capital line items have also been reallocated or taken out of the budget, and we are spending a little bit of money also to support the acquisition of new fleet.
Technical advisor to the Finance Minister, Dr. Tio Champon, speaking at the PwC webinar on the mid-year budget review. The Bank of Ghana has assured that it would move to ensure the needed laws are in place to help improve trust and integrity of the financial technology platforms in Ghana. The assurance follows recent reports of rising fraud in the digital space. Now, speaking at the EcoBank Joy Business Financial Dialogue Series, head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Ray Kwasari, noted that this is very important to help improve financial inclusion in the country.
Every time there's a transaction happening, there's a promise that the funds is fully backed and redeemable. That promise is upheld through effective regulation. As digital finance grows, so too will standards we expect of it. Growth also brings new risk. Reported fraud cases rose by 48% in 2025. That is why the bank is strengthening supervision of digital financial services, maintaining high licensing standards, strengthening consumer protection, and building shared cyber resilience across the financial sector with our fellow financial regulators. We are not doing this alone. We will also continue to enforce those standards. Where institutions short of what is required to protect consumers and preserve confidence, the bank will act.
And that is head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Ray Kwasari, speaking at the EcoBank Joy Business Financial Dialogue Series and at the EcoBank head office in Accra today. Now, Chief Executive of the Water Authority, Edward Obeng-Kenzo, is making a strong case for reliable and affordable electricity as key driver to Ghana's economic development. Speaking at the 16th annual meeting of the African Power Pool, Mr. Kenzo said stable power supply remains critical in expanding industries in the region, including Ghana.
Africa must be bold in pursuing a balanced, clean energy future. Renewable energy can help expand access, improve affordability, and build resilience. While nuclear energy offers the prospect of reliable, low-carbon base load power to complement renewables, stabilizes grids, and support industrial growth. And this is where I would like, as a continent, we should also keep our focus to make sure at least we also get a clean civil use of nuclear power. We have the resources in this country.
Chief Executive of the Volta River Authority, Edward Obeng Kenzo. Now, GCB Bank has indicated that they will press ahead with measures that would help post the same sterling numbers for its first 6 months of this year in the coming months. Now, this was after the profit after tax of the bank hit 1.9 billion Ghana cedis for the first half of this year. Now, this was captured in an investor notice issued by the bank on its half-year results. The half-year numbers also saw some strong growth in all areas of the bank's operations for this year. Now, Carl Asset Management is attributing the strong numbers posted on funds and the various schemes that is handling to prudent management. The Carl Benefit Unit Trust and the Carl Advantage Unit Trust ended last year posting some significant jump in returns to investors. Speaking at the company's annual general meeting today, Madeleine Nate is the Chief Executive of Carl Asset Management Company Limited.
The collective investment schemes under the management of Carl Assets perform creditably. The Carl Advantage Balanced Unit Trust returned in excess of 32% on assets under management. This was achieved by carefully selecting assets into the portfolio of the fund in line with the objectives of the fund. Unit holders at the just ended annual general meeting affirmed their confidence in the fund manager for presenting to them the accounts of the fund and actively managing the portfolio of the schemes. For the Carl Benefit Unit Trust, it equally returned in excess of 19.7% to unit holders in the year 2025.
Malenete is the Chief Executive of Carl Assets Management Company Limited. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kenneth and Gemma.
Thank you very much, George. Let's do sports now. Benaya is here. Hi, Benaya.
Hi, Gemma.
What's in
sports?
Usually,
George usually introduces sports. But since Arsenal lost the final and we told him small, now he has stopped. He just said, over to you, Gemma, so that you do the introduction for me. All right, so in sports, Ghana's Benjamin Azamati has secured a place in the men's 100-meter final at the 2026 Commonwealth Games after finishing third in the semi-final just about 20 minutes ago. Now, the sprinter clocked 10.00 seconds to qualify as one of the two fastest losers, with only the top two finishers in each semi-final earning automatic qualification for the final. Now, African champion Emmanuel Isime of Cameroon won the first semi-final in a personal best of 9.90 seconds, while Wales' Jeremiah Azu claimed second automatic qualification spot. There was also a heartbreak, though, however, for Ghanaian record holder Abdul Rashid Saminu, who narrowly missed out on joining his compatriots in the final. So the final is going to happen at 8:15 p.m. tonight. Yeah, so we hope Benjamin Azamati adds to the medal for Ghana, because so far we've just won one at the Commonwealth Games with Zinabu Issa, the para-athlete, and another medal that's also assured for Ghana is bantamweight boxer Amadou Mohammed, who is also guaranteed a medal after qualifying to the semi-final earlier today.
Oh, so the Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, the Commonwealth Games. So hopefully Azamati adds to it and we end up with 3 medals. That would be good news for Ghana.
Yes.
With more other events still yet to happen. So we might end up winning more medals. Yeah. So that's it for sports.
Thank you very much, Benaya.
I know my Koliwa, I know my Koliwa. 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 I know my Koliwa.
It's now time for Your Say, and Noella Karen Yale is in the studio to bring us what you have been sharing with us on our social media platforms. Hi, Noella.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm well. So our listeners have been, they have loads of messages to share with us.
Right.
Primarily, they've been reacting to the news about whether or not our president would be going for a third term. And Kwame and Kaneshi says, I'm wondering what this fuss about a Mahama third term bit is about. Why are people concerned about any such possibility? After all, even if he puts in a bid to run and the courts agree, isn't any successful bid to be determined by the electorate? If Ghanaians do not want him, they will not vote him in, period. This is much ado about nothing, unless, of course, those raising the imaginary red flags fear he might win again. Shouldn't that mean Ghanaians are satisfied with his previous tenure and desire him to continue? And those sentiments were shared by T Smart from Amasaman, who says, why is NPP so scared of Mahama, who was once described as a dead goat? And Sami from Isuachari, I don't know if I am murdering that name, Isuachari, right? Suchwari,
yes.
Right. Says, what is the problem of Nana B? Are they scared of JDM? Did he truly serve his 2-term as they claim he did? They should give us a break. Let's allow the Supreme Court to decide. And Comrade Issa Tanimu in Boko says, why do Henry Nanabuache and some members of the NPP now seem uncomfortable whenever a matter goes to court? When they were in power, going to court was their slogan. The NDC, on the other hand, has consistently accepted court outcomes in good faith and will remain consistent with that position, unlike the NPP, which tends to run down the court when judgments do not go in its favor. However, Ishmael in Ada disagrees with these sentiments. Says, good evening. Let us avoid the slippery slope. This third-term agenda must be nipped in the bud. History must guide us. And Susan Kuma says, please, President should run his due time and resign, so his good work will not be stained by the bad work he came to do. We love you, Mr. President. After your term, resign. And also reacting to other stories, we've got Prophet Wisdom from Agbozome, who says Finance Minister and his government should inject money into the economy so that businesses can expand to create more jobs avenue for we the youth. In fact, NDC government has failed Ghanaians. Kwesi Kaswa says most often arrested able-bodied men die in police custody. Why? Have they been trained for that by their instructors? And Promise in Keta says, hey, 2 years in opposition, they are crying like this. The media budget they're claiming is empty is the same budget government is going to use to pay all workers, including them. And Albert from Adenta says, I think I now understand why our economy got bad under the Nanado Baumia administration. If some of the voices I hear were the fine minds the government then was listening to. But let's listen to some of our listeners who shared voice notes with us.
Hello, good evening, News 9. It's your brother Ras Humility inside Agbozuma Kleko in the Volta region of Ghana. We Ghanaians are very happy that the ruling of the NDC government is better than the MPP government. So we Ghanaians are very happy for this NDC government. The John Mahama government should improve more so that we Ghanaians can cherish him more. Thank you.
My name is Jerry Lawrence, NDC MPP. An economy that has been depleted, almost collapsed by one government, and another comes. Won't that one fix the economy first before spending? Oh, and this MPP, which one are we going to follow now? Spending or not spending?
Right, Noella.
Right, so before I go, let me leave you with a light story, and I'm going to take you into the church of self-acclaimed prophetess Agrada.
Oh.
Self-acclaimed? So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't there when God called her, so I can't say she's, you know.
It detains me a lot on the internet.
Right? So she was in church preaching and then called for those who were interested to travel to come up so she can pray for them so they get favor, I guess, in traveling. And majority of the people who came forward were her instrumentalists. What ensues after? Listen.
If you want to travel, come forward. So all of you people want to travel. Come on, move away with your foolishness. Who will play the organ if you travel abroad? So all along, you ways to travel out.
So that's Agrada, typical Agrada, right?
Exactly. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
So she wasn't going to prophesy.
No. I mean, who should go for you to? I mean,
Exactly.
who should play the organ?
Yeah.
But
Maybe
people
you, Kenneth.
sitting there. They don't want to go.
Right? And no one is training anybody.
What's-
Charlie, so that's it for your say.
Thank you very much, Noella Karaniale there. And that's it for News Night this evening. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Gemma Appiah.
Don't forget to do the 2 brush your teeth day and night with Pepsodent. It's now time for Geek Squad. That comes right after News Night, and Adobia is already in the studio. Hi, Adobia. What are we talking about?
Hi, Kenneth. Just last week, Samsung did their Unpacked event. And
Right.
so tonight, we'll be breaking down everything that they have shared and what our listeners can gain from it for anyone who wants to buy any of the devices.